Hi, welcome to Chad's Silversmithing. Today I thought I would do a secret compartment ring, sometimes known as a poison ring. I've done one before on the YouTube channel, and so I thought I'd do something with a different design. This one a little bit more traditional with a hinged container, and it opens from the top. The previous one I did was kind of a design of my own making that you have to take the ring off in order to open the compartment because it slides downwards. So if you're interested in seeing that one, I'll put a link up there for that one. But today we're going to do this more traditional one. I'm going to use a piece of turquoise in it. I think it'll be pretty, and hopefully we can pull off the hinge mechanism and everything. We'll see. But we're going to give it a try, so let's get started. So these are a few of my design idea sketchbooks that you can get on my merch store. Like, for instance, this one has a gauge to inches to millimeters chart on the back, which I find pretty useful. This one has fractions of an inch to decimals to millimeters, which is another useful one. The one I'm using right now has some melting temperatures of different solder types, which I also find useful. There's 5 or 6 different models over on my merch store, all of which have different useful information for metalsmithing, so you should get yourself one. I find them invaluable for keeping track of my projects. I also find them invaluable because they have this little dot matrix, which is hard to see on camera right now, but it makes me able to draw better pictures because drawing is not my primary skill. But it's nice to have a good sketch to start from, I think, and nice to have a record of what you made. So this is what I had in mind today. I had 3 of these pieces of turquoise that are about 10 by 14, and you can tell me in the comments which one you think I should have chosen, but I chose this one. So we'll call this 1, 2, and 3, so tell me which one you think I should have used. I don't know where this turquoise is from. Honestly, I don't remember where I got this. It could very well be Chinese turquoise, or it could be Persian, but maybe a turquoise expert can tell me in the comments, but I think they're all from the same batch. So I'm going to use that one. Tell me you tell me if I made a mistake or not. I went ahead and I did a little bit of the components of this one because it's going to be a complicated build, and I didn't want to make too long of a video. So I made the top part of it here for this, which is going to be like that. Okay, and that's going to be where the compartment is going to be inside of there. So I'll need to make a bottom box that fits into here. We'll need to put some hinges on the back here. I'm going to make the clasp balls that click through other balls. And on the back here where the hinges are, I'm going to hide the hinge by having those kind of sitting above it, so you can't really see it. From the top, it would look pretty hidden, I hope. But then we'll just put a simple kind of thick band on it made out of some low dome wire, which is number 4, I think, and I think that's almost 6 millimeters wide, about 5.8. The stuff that I used to make the box here, this is 22 gauge sheet, so is the top. The bezel is 3/16 inch fine silver bezel strip in 26 gauge, which equates to 4.76 millimeters by 0.41 millimeters. I have since filed it down a little bit to make it a little bit shorter. I may do that even further. I may also make this box a little bit shorter too. I kind of made it extra big so I had plenty of room to work with. I'm going to make the bottom box out of the same components, but it's going to have to fit inside of there. So that'll be 22 as well, which is 0.66 millimeters thick. The balls will just be some scrap that I make. The tubing is 1.7 millimeter outside diameter tubing, which is just perfect for 18 gauge wire or 1 millimeter. The inside diameter fits pretty closely to that, so we can solder a pin in there like that. And that's pretty much it, I think. I've already made the band. And I already made this, and I filed a flat spot on the top of the band in order to mount that. So we need to make the bottom part of the box, which is going to fit right in here. I'm going to use a shorter height of stuff, I think, because I want this to open easily, but I also want it to be able to catch on it so it keeps it closed. And we'll have to kind of play with this. My goal, or my idea here is I'm going to file a notch, like a rectangular notch here. And I'm going to try and solder those hinges in right there. The 2 outer tubes, this one, use this to point with. This one and this one, I think I'm going to solder to this piece. And then on the inside box, we'll have a little tube on the inside, so it'll hinge up that way. So we're going to have to cut a notch in here. This one's going to be soldered to the outside of the inner box, I think. We'll see how it lines up like that, but we'll make sure it lines up right. And like I said, I'm going to make the other box a little bit shallow. On the inside box, I'm going to have two balls that are there, and so I'm going to have to cut out a notch for each of those so it falls down over those. And then in the middle here on this one, I'm going to solder just a round ball right at the base. So let's make the bottom box next, and we'll see how that looks, and then we'll start figuring out the mechanism. And that's really the complicated part about this. Most of this other stuff you can get from my other videos. Making a band, there's a video about that. Setting a cabochon, although I'll set this one for you at the end. Making little silver balls. Although we can do that on this one if you'd like. So let's set those to the side for now. Here's a piece of 22 gauge that I cut to be the inner box. It was the same piece as this one, but I cut it a little bit shorter. So let's start with that, and let's see if we can make it so it fits right in there. You can use your miter vise jig if you need to for this stage. So let's see if we can get this to fit right in there. Now remember, even though this is sometimes called the poison ring, it's not okay to poison people. You could keep your daily medication in here, or you could keep your secret manifesto that you're writing on a little memory card. A note with a positive message for yourself to help you to remember to stay positive, or whatever. Personal affirmations every day. I'm a good silversmith, and I'm not going to screw up today. So I'm going to cut it just a little long. Then we'll gradually move it down until it fits right in there, hopefully. That's pretty darn close. I might file it just a little more so it's not quite so snug, because I want it to be able to open and close. Let's try that. If you haven't been to my channel before, here's some information about my torch and my solder and my flux. Probably use a little easy paste solder on the hinge to put the pin in. I used to do it all with hard silver solder, but you run the risk of having it go wrong on you sometimes that way if you're not super careful. Just going to do a little neatening up here. Okay, I got it filed up a little bit and cleaned up. It fits in there nicely now. So I think, let's put a bottom on this next. Okay, here's a little piece. Let's solder those two together. Just about the right size. Let's cut some silver solder. This is hard silver solder. Use kind of a generous amount of solder here. As long as we got a good seam all the way around, we should be able to trim this off now. I've not made this sort of compartment ring before, so this is kind of an experiment on my part. Okay, I could stick that down in there, but I'm not going to. I think what I am going to do, though, is make some silver balls, and let's solder one right at the very end of this. Okay, let's make a ball or two. What am I doing? Let's try soldering it on right about there. I just realized I was going to put 2 balls on this one, 2 small balls, and then 1 on the outer one, so I need to rethink that for a minute. So the idea is going to be that this ball pops through and seats between those two a little bit. So it's kind of important I get them in the right spot. So I actually elevated them a little bit, thinking that the other one needs to pop below it a little bit to hold it in place. So let's see if we can get this tube on the other side. So I'm probably just going to sweat a little bit of solder on the outside of the tube. One thing you should know about these tubes is when they're hot, you don't want to pick them up with the tweezers because it'll crush them. I'm going to file this just a bit shorter, I think, so I'll be right back. Okay, I think my next steps probably need to be, I need to cut the saw this out of here. I have a little rectangle. And I may just use a bulber to carve out these little notches here. So let's go do that. All right, that'll work. Let's put a bulber on my Dremel. Okay. I seem to have them positioned in about the right spots. I need to go a little bit deeper though. There we go. Okay, so this is pretty good, but these are going to be cut a little bit shorter. And in order to get these to line up nicely with the tube I'm going to solder on here, I need to file this down just a tiny bit so I can solder it to this and to this part up here. So let's cut another piece of tubing and see if we can solder it on there. There's a huge disparity in mass between these tubes and this big chunk of metal that I have here, so I'm really not going to heat the tube very much. That looks like that's going to line up just about right. So I'm going to go ahead and file this lower, both sides. That's pretty good. So here's what I'm going to do next. I think I'm going to make a mark across this with marker. That'll allow us to make a mark precisely where it'll allow this tube to fit inside of this one once I cut out a little piece of it. Alright, so that'll be where we go to We'll go saw that out now. Oopsie. Let's pop a piece of 18 gauge in there and see if it'll go through. I think we're pretty close. Okay, so I can get it open, but it doesn't open all the way. And it catches up here just a little tight. So I think I'm going to do some modifications. I'm going to shorten this just a little bit more. And I'm not sure why it's catching there. I think maybe this groove under here needs to be a little bit deeper. And then we'll see how it goes. So let's pull that back out of there. Well, it opens further now, that's good. Still pretty tight up here though. I think it's catching right on the shoulders next to those balls a little bit too much. Let's see if we can do something about that. That works. Okay, so I think our next step needs to be, we need to solder a ball kind of right between those two there, so you have something to grab onto. And then we'll do 3 little balls up here too. So let's see how that looks. Okay, next thing we need to do is solder 3 little balls right here that are similar in size to these. So could use these ones. This will be an interesting experiment. It's not pretty right at this point. My hinge is a little wonky, but it works. So I think I'm going to go ahead and pull this out, try and solder the band onto this bottom piece, and then we'll put the pin in using some easy solder. So let's do that. Maybe I should use medium for this one because I'm going to use easy on this last one. Let's do that. Okay, I'm going to remove about that much of these tubes here with the saw, so I'll be right back. If it ever gets loose, I'll just bend this inwards just a scotch. It'll be tight again. Keeping your poison safe. That's alright. I think that's a pretty reasonable outcome. Let's let that pickle, and then we'll solder this last little bit with some easy solder right here and here. But I want to get rid of any excess flux that's left over there, so we don't have any problems. Okay, I'll let it pickle for a while. Let's make sure this is easy solder. So I want this to stick to the pin and that outside tube. Do not want it to stick to the bottom piece or that inside tube. We're going to try to make that happen. One of the things you can do is, since for it to really stick to that inside tube is attached to this piece. If I don't really heat that piece, it's less likely for that to happen. It's still moving. I can trim these off, kind of where they meet. I will be filing those, but I'm going to let it go ahead and pickle the rest of the way, and I'll polish it. Go. Okay, got everything polished up, and let's go ahead and set this stone. Filed it down to where I wanted it to be. Now I'm just going to use, I do this a little different than some. I'm going to use the flat side of my chain nose pliers as a bezel pusher. Get that stone tied up against there. Okay, once you have that kind of laid down over, then we're going to go ahead and burnish it using the rounded outer part here. And that's just laying some serious pressure on it. Let's see how many secret, we'll imagine these are diamonds, and I can smuggle in here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in there. Oh, that's quite going to close. I think I had 1 too many in there. See, if you have one of these, you can become an international diamond smuggler then. So what I was trying to do, though, was I was trying to get the hinges to be concealed from above so nobody would notice, really. I'd give myself a B+ on this one. There's a few little quality issues that I didn't do a very good job soldering it right here. I think overall, though, for an initial first poison ring of this type, I think I did okay. So tell me what you think. Tell me what you would have done differently. And I'm also, like I said earlier, tell me if you think I made the right stone choice. Let's see if our picture looks right. That's pretty close. That's pretty close. All right, well, I think I'm pleased with that. So tell me what you think, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, well, that was the secret compartment ring, sometimes known as a poison ring. Don't poison anybody with it, please. That would not be okay. If you did enjoy the video, though, I'd love it if you'd hit the like button before you go. I'd also love it if you'd go to my main YouTube channel page and check out some of the other videos I have. I have over 600 videos on YouTube now, and there's lots of information there and lots of projects, so I think you're almost certain to find something else useful or interesting over there. And I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my channel as well. It doesn't cost anything, and it allows you to hit the little bell button, which will allow you to get notifications of when I release a new video, which is 3 times per week. 1 on Tuesday, 1 on Thursday, and 1 on Saturday. So make sure to hit the subscribe button. I wanted to thank some groups of people before I go to. My patrons over on Patreon are my core group of supporters. They pay money to be part of that platform over there, and that is a great deal of help for me financially, so thank you for that. They've also created a really nice environment over there with a bunch of cool people who are artistic and smart and have resources that I can tap into, and I hope that I'm providing things for them too as well. They're sticking around, so I must be giving them something. But I have a new one over there, Ruth H. Ruth H., thank you for signing up. I really appreciate your support. I think you'll find that that's a lovely group of people over there to hang out with. So, the other group are my YouTube subscribers. We just passed 27,100, which is awesome. Thank you for that. I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined I'd have that many people following my YouTube channel, but thank you. I really love the nice comments that you leave and the advice you give me, the video suggestions, even constructive criticism is helpful. So thank you for all of those things. It's really touching some of the nice things that some of you have left in the comment section, so thanks for that. I do also really appreciate the purchases, the super thanks and the buy me a coffees, people who buy stuff on my merch store, or people who buy my ebooks. So all of that stuff makes my channel sustainable, and I couldn't do it without your help, so thank you for that. Don't forget to hit the video description down below for information about this video, as well as some important links. There's a link to my Patreon if you want to find out more about that platform and the various tiers of membership over there. It's a great place over there, and I think you'd like it. There's a link to my merch store if you want to get yourself one of those nice design idea sketchbooks that I showed you at the beginning. I find those to be extremely useful for keeping track of my projects and having a record of what I've made and helping me to draw out better pictures. So get yourself 1 or 2 of those or some other merch there. There's a link also to my newest ebook, which is a guide to my video tutorials. This one is 2025's entire year's worth of video tutorials. Each page has a link to one of them, and on that page it has a picture of the sketch that I drew for the project, the final outcome picture, a list of materials you need to make it. If there's a stone, it has stone information, a difficulty rating, and some notes I took about the project, things I might have learned from it, how I would do it differently if I was to do it again, whether I felt like it was a successful outcome, and whether I thought parts of it were hard or easy or what. So Lots of information there. It's a great way to have a ton of projects at your fingertips and a really nice way to support my channel. So get yourself one or two of those. There's one for 2023, 2024, and 2025. You can get a package deal for all of those and get some money off. So check that out. All right, well, thanks for watching today. Take care. Happy silversmithing.